Yo, Joey Bag of Donuts. Close the door. Make sure it's locked. We're all done here. No, no, you and your buddies can't come in. Close the door. Make sure it's locked. Shit. One of the worst days of my life. It's supposed to be the best day, right? 19, 1970. I almost missed it. I can't even believe it. It's like a fig Newton of my imagination. I'm serious. The whole world's changing, isn't it? This is 1970. All the possibilities. Everybody's doing everything. There's people walking naked in the street. They're burning their bras in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. I'm like a happy man at 19. Yeah, as much of a man as I am at 19. But it's January 1st, 1970. 1969's party was amazing. Yeah, you could see the change. It ain't like the old days where everybody sat around playing poker and the women just talked. Yep, it was a party. Good things are, really didn't have to throw anybody out. We didn't have to put anybody to sleep, which was really nice because I hate getting body parts and pieces on my good suit. Oh, God. If I hear another Frank Sinatra song, I'm going to flip out. These goombas. And they play these same songs over and over and over. I'm like, can we have a little Led Zeppelin? What are we doing? And remember, it's our job as the soldiers, the guys that, sweep the floor. We got to keep the gumas, the girlfriends, away from the wives because as they get drunker, they want to do a confrontation. Oh, yeah. How many of these broads did we walk down the basement screaming and yelling and having your hand bitten here? But no more. No more. I'm done. So we dropped off when I was a newspaper boy. Kept that job till I was about 12. Must have done a good job. Must have dropped off all the envelopes everybody gave me. Had the correct amount of money in there. I got robbed one time. Good story. I had a canvas bag that had my newspapers in. And by the end of the delivery in the building, I probably had maybe 20 envelopes. It was full of monies and numbers and all this other betting slips on sports and horse races and whatever you can think of these old people bet on. And they were all in this building fairly rich people. So the envelopes at certain times of the year would get thicker than they were at other times. And of course, Christmas and Easter, and I got some real nice tips. You always knew that you were getting a tip when they handed you two envelopes. One would have your name on it, the other one would have nobody's name on it. And you get your tips. And then as I got older, they got more substantial because I was doing things for people over and above my job, if you know what I mean. So, around 12, another meeting at my grandfather's big dining room table, and Lou from the bar is there, and a couple other people. I thought to myself, you're in trouble again. What did you do? I'm racing through my head, figuring, I need a bullshit story for this or that or the other thing. So I guess I got a promotion, as they say. It wasn't for me. I'm going to go work at Lou's as a bar back. Well, it was coming winter time, and I just had, 4 winters delivering papers. I wasn't too happy about that, delivering papers in the winter, but I could be a bar back, yeah, because it'd be warm all the time. And yeah, it's a heavy job, and you got to mop floors, sweep up the teeth at the end of the night. But I can do that. And so I go over, I think it was a Tuesday. And there's two guys that I had seen around the neighborhood. They were high school kids. And one was grumpy. Oh my God. He beat me so hard one day. I didn't think I'd stand up again for a week. And it was over bullshit. I think like I dropped a bottle of whiskey or something. It was bullshit. We're talking about a $5 bottle of whiskey. I shouldn't get a beating like that, but I never dropped another bottle of whiskey. And so of course my grandfather always said, keep your mouth shut, keep your ears open, you'll learn more that way. Observe everything. Nothing is insignificant. Put it in that file in your head because it might mean something later. So that's how I went through my job. I was really good at it. I knew everybody's drink. I knew their wife's drink, their gumads, their Uncle Louie, who only comes in twice a year. I even know the guys that only come in for the, you know, big Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving party on Friday. And the only reason they're there is to collect their envelopes, and they come in once a year from all over. And nobody sees them unless they're coming for the envelopes. So for me to remember them, they thought that was something special. And, you know, everybody would backhand you at the time. When I first started, when I was 12, it was like $5. But after that, they started backhanding you 20s. And then holidays, they backhanded you 50. And, and then you get drunk and maybe you get a couple of 50s out of them. If you're lucky, you do the trifecta and get 3 50s out of them. And then the Gumads used to tip us to find a broom closet that she can go and snuggle with her, what I used to call rhinoceroses, old, sweaty, greasy Italian guys in a suit that doesn't fit them anymore. I think they wore it to the Holy Communion. Anyway, I'm glad to be out. Oh, yeah, this guy's reminding me. Got to do the commercial. Like, subscribe, comment, share. See, I got all four of them. That's because I have it written on a plaque right in front. Like, subscribe, comment, share. See, I got it down. But as always, I really want you to do that for me because I'm kind of selfish guy. But would you do it for Aortic Hope? Would you do it for St. Jude? Come on, guys. These organizations do a lot of good. Put some pennies in an envelope and send it to them, will you? If you have no money, send me a message or email, and I'll put some cash in a bag in an envelope and send it in under your name, so you won't look like such a cuchata. Anyway, so these multi the bombs, as we used to call them, they were always in their 70s or 80s, and they're still drooling. They get drunk on a drink and a half. They eat everything, including the napkin. But those are the guys that are running the place, right? They're running all the families, the 5 families. They're running all the offshoots. They're running all the docks. They're running all the Wall Street. They're running the, construction. Come on. You got to give them some respect. They got into their 70s and 80s, and they're still alive, and they're still making decisions, right? So they get their envelopes. They're very happy. This is usually the Friday after Thanksgiving. But that doesn't happen anymore because everything's changed. Lou's place is now a boutique. So the day started out pretty cool. I very much enjoyed that last day. We were setting up for the party, obviously, we started on the 29th. Just went in early and wore clothes and just because you had it. It was a weird situation. The room was always set up for the guys to be entertained with pool and card tables and some tables just to sit around, couches and chairs. so they could sit around smoking their cigars and drink and talk. And then there was the big kitchen in the back, and it was a big kitchen. And they probably redid the kitchen and made the front of the kitchen like a service area, like it would be in a commercial kitchen, because they were always just setting up tables. So that made that kitchen much more efficient. But then you had bathrooms on either side of the kitchen. And then on either side, one was a storage room, and the other one, I think, was a bathroom, but I'm not sure. I forget. It's, come on, guys, give me a break. This is 50 years ago. I don't even know what I had for breakfast. Oh, yes, I do. Anyway, that's another story. I just got my kitchen back, and they turned it into, like a modern art design down there. I told them if it isn't clean by the time I'm done my podcast, because I want to eat something again and have somebody's butt. So, like I said, so we got in early and we're setting up. And what we used to do is we used to put a tablecloth down, then we put like wax paper or parchment paper down, put another tablecloth, do the same thing about 4 or 5 times. That way, if the table got dirty, we could just clear the table, roll up the parchment paper, and there's a brand new clean tablecloth. Put everything back. We don't disturb the people too much, but it keeps the place clean because, I've seen, some Italian women, you got to remember, look at the old pictures. I mean, they're all got the black hair and it's all combed over, right? Like something special. And if their husband's dead, they're in the black. And if their husband's not dead, most of them are in the black anyway because they wish them dead. But you can always tell the difference between an Italian woman and a Greek woman. And it's very simple. An Italian woman's going to have a black pimple with 3 hairs doing this. But it's going to be on this side of the face. Now, the Greek woman, she's going to have the same thing, but on the other side. And that's good. Back then, before they sliced those things off at birth, yeah, most Italian women and Greek women, as soon as they turned 50, yeah, this black dot came out. And at first you didn't notice the hairs because they were short. But as they grew and got a life of their own, kind of like Medusa. You guys know, look it up. That's another story. Oh, did I tell you? Like, subscribe, comment, and share. I never even thought about share. I see it, but I didn't think about saying it. I've been going along not saying it. But yeah, share me. Send it. When I make a sarcastic remark that you think is right, send it off to one of your friends. Tell them they could use the help. Yeah. So then we showed up New Year's Eve. We were supposed to get there at 6, but I'm always trying to be early. So I got there at 5. Luckily I did because one of the toilets were backing up in the bar area, which had 2 bathrooms out there. So we would be closed for a private party, obviously. And so we would take over not only the back room, but the outside, the big bar, and then we took over upstairs too. Upstairs is a whole nother story. To say it was a den of iniquity is like saying the Titanic went down with a oops. So, but that's another story we'll get into, the upstairs of Lou's. Oh my goodness. Flood of memories come back. So we ice everything down. Party's not starting till 9. So we sit around and have a big family meal. I think there was 28 of us working the party. And that's everybody from waitresses to cooks to bartenders, barbacks. There was a half a dozen guys with those thing that you put on the ground and sweep into, whatever that is. just a half a dozen of those guys running around with wet towels and dry towels, and those for everybody who we didn't get in time and wound up puking on the floor. But we were pretty good. I gotta say, Art, Art was really good at catching these people before because he didn't want to clean it up. He didn't want any bells. He wanted the smell. So he was really cool about getting them. And, there was, we had the front of the place and then had alleys on either side. So we had exit doors that you could go right out and there'd be dumpsters in those alleys. And let him hug the dumpster and throw his brains up or her. That's another thing that changed. When I first got there, ladies acted like ladies. Now the wives are acting like the boutons. But you got to remember today, January 1st, 1970. You understand? We're in the 70s, baby. We left all that stuff behind. Right? Right. Brand new world. We can do anything we want. So I am going to leave this life behind and move on. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea. My grandfather wants me to go in the grocery business. My grandmother wants me to go in the restaurant business. Father just wants me to go to hell. And I'm on a pretty good path with hell. So I don't want to jinx that. But going out to Haight Ashbury was one thing that showed me a bigger life than New York City and people, different people. So I'd like to explore that. After, 5, 6 years of doing some terrible things, I'm over that period of my life. I just want to, January 1st, 1970. I'm doing more than I ever did, and I'm doing less of what I've done. You understand that? Yeah, baby. Whole new world come tomorrow morning when I wake up. I don't know what I'm going to do or where I'm going to go, but I guarantee you I'll be doing it for a long time. Yeah. So I got home that night and everybody knew it was my last night. So the envelopes were extra thick and I got more envelopes than I think I've ever gotten in the 5 or 6 years I worked there. And it came up to a significant amount. Believe me, it was in the tens of thousands of dollars. And so I put it in a cigar box. And I put rubber bands around it. And I threw it on the bureau. And we had these high bureaus that you put your stuff on. And then all these drawers you put your clothes in. And they were high. I was this monster of a guy at 5'10". And it was a little bit higher than me. So it was interesting. Pulled the top drawer out. That's when all your watch and your rings and everything went in. I threw the envelope in there, the money in there, and I went to bed and just snored away. But that night it was so important for me, I guess, to dream. And the dreams I had were, I finally got to the point where I wasn't getting in that REM sleep. I'd get there and then all of a sudden I'm out. So I always had a pad of paper and a pencil because I used to get these story ideas when I thought I was going to be a big story guy. I was going to write the American novel, just like Hemingway. Be as drunk as him, play with cats, and write a novel. Right? Hemingway. I think he played with himself too, quite a bit, but that's another story. And I've written down all this weird stuff. I don't try to filter it. I just write it. Sailboat, motorcycle, or he had a Corvette. See parts of the country that I thought I'd never see. Like You have to understand. It was a different world. If some guy walks in the bar or you meet him in a restaurant or something and he's got tattoos all over him, he's either a World War One sailor and he was in Indochina most of his and got a bunch of tattoos, or he's a biker. He's a bad dude, right? Never saw women with tattoos. Zero. And the only people with tattoos are people you avoid, right? You were nice to them when you had to be, but otherwise you avoid. Not unlike now when everybody's got a tattoo, including 4-year-olds. When I saw that on the internet, I was like, seriously? Now, if anything's child abuse, I think that is. But then again, I'm just the old fat guy. Anyway, I digress again. I like that word. I love that. So, I'd written all this stuff down. I don't even remember what half of it was, but I remember sailboat, remember motorcycle, seeing places that I really wanted to see, and I want to go deep sea fishing. I've only been deep sea fishing twice, and I wanted to go to the West Coast and go deep sea fishing, or the Gulf of Mexico. You know, where they get those really humongous fish. Not off the East Coast where we get these 8, 12, 20 pounders, right? I'll go to North Carolina and get into a tuna. How's that, boy? Yeah, that sounds like an adventure. Everybody wants to do that, right? Especially when you're being cut loose. I'm out of high school, got out of high school a year ago. I did my traveling, got my boys, and everybody's good, doing good. You know, we're a fat and happy group. But I need something more. I guess every person, whether you're male or female, who goes through this, when you wake up one day and said, this is not enough, or shit, when did I grow up? Why do I have to do all this stuff? I want to do this stuff. I think everybody I've ever talked to about this, it was always said the same thing. It was like something spurred him. Like somebody would come up and say, yeah, I just had this fabulous trip to Hawaii. Oh, wait a minute, he's my age. What? I'm pounding garbage cans, and he's going to Hawaii. You know, that's not the right life. I choose those lives. I want to go to Hawaii, not pound garbage cans. It's important, you know. And everybody transitions like that, right? Because if you don't transition like that, oh, Maron, you're gonna be like my father, World War II vet. We spent 42 years in the Brooklyn Navy Yard and the Philadelphia Navy Yard, building cabins for admirals and captains. And when he retired, he went back to work for my brother, who owned a voting machine company. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, you know, what do you want to do, man? You want to go hunting or fishing up in Canada? Do you want to, go get a charter boat and go out of Tuckerton, New Jersey? And we'll go down to South Carolina and get in one of those boats and see if we can get into some tuna. Because he used to tell stories about how he fished all his childhood. I'm looking at this man, he was probably mid-60s at that time. And he's working as the shipping agent for my brother, who got this company through just take it from me. He got the company, right? How he got it. It's called Shoop Voting Machine Company. And it had machines in every borough of New York City. They covered the whole, and all these places out in Jersey. This is my brother. This is my younger brother. I mean, a mogul. So, all these things change your life, right? You bring yourself to the point where what is not good enough for what you want. And what you want, you got to do this to get it, right? That's the process. It's like money. You don't make money to put it in the bank. That's a waste of money. Money is simply a tool to get whatever else you want. So you save your money to get what you want, right? You work, you save your money, you get what you want. You know, that's important. And I don't think a lot of people understand that anymore. They don't understand the process. In fact, we don't have process. We don't have codes of honor or processes. We don't have uh, thing sayings or beliefs that we live by. Everything's transitional. There's a new fad for everything. Uh, the nurse, when I was recovering, said, "Listen, Tom, live life at 8 minutes. 8 minutes, because within that 8 minutes, it's all going to change again. It's either going to change for the better or the worse. It's going to stay still but be modified." She said, 8 minutes of your life is going to change. So the next 8 minutes. And then I had a professor when I was getting my master's, a psychology professor. And mostly I don't, you know, I absorb it, but I don't practice it or believe it. But the important part of that is that this professor made a profound influence on me when he said you have to be genuine. You have to be who you are. You have to be the person who's happy enough to attract another person who's happy. And we all fail at that. I failed at it. I'm on my second go around, and she's on a week to week contract. And as ugly as she was this morning, she might be out this afternoon. But again, I digress. I love that word. That's another story. But hey, I forgot to tell you, my kitchen's ready. I can start broadcasting from the kitchen. All right. So Josh is giving me that wind up motion. So it's important to know that you're recruited because of what they think you can do. Muscle, negotiations, strategy. You got to remember, Gangsters was one guy who took over a gang of gangsters. Mafia was predicated on the Roman legion and all their levels of authority and their rules and their strictness of their rules and exactly what you could get if you broke the rules. And there was no mercy. You knew the rule, you broke it. Now you're asking for a special situation. No, that's not how it worked. You got what was coming to you. And it was a real simple life. It was real black and white, unlike now. Not to make too much of a joke, but every scale of gray is out there, and every scale of brown, and every scale of yellow, and every scale of dot people. What we're talking about here is this crazy, 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 crazy world. And I can see where Gen Z and Gen Alpha just don't know where to put their foot. If I was in their situation, the other day we were talking about this. We were at Cracker Barrel. And there was like 8 of us, and we were sitting around there like a bunch of old guys that we are. And it just, we had to come to an agreement that it's just not a better world. It is not better for the children, nor is it better for the people, the couples, the singles. Look, I was born like a snail. I turned into a fire hydrant. I am not your classically good-looking guy. I try to, my hygiene's good, so that's good. I'm old and fat now, but I was young and dumb, and we used to say full of cum, but you can't say that anymore. So everybody offended, I'm sorry. But anyway, even the ugliest ones, like Vinny Two Lips. This guy had a set of lips on him that looked like Rubber Band Man. And he had every acne problem you ever had. He went off to college. He came back with his girl. I think she was from Vermont or Connecticut or something. Oh, what a bombshell. Oh, Manon, she came through the door 2 minutes before her body. I'm telling you, nice set of, you know what I'm talking about. So, if he could get a girl, anybody. And that was my situation. There was somebody out there. Actually, there was two people out there. Although the second one's on out, one foot out the door and the other foot on a banana peel. You'll meet her one day. You'll regret that day. You'll put it on your calendar. You'll call me every name in the book, but you'll meet her one day. So that was my last day. And this is the life I made. 10 kids, 10 grandchildren. That doesn't count the amount of kids we took in, the amount of children in the neighborhood that I call my grandchildren. You know, we take them in like puppies. Well, we have animals in the barn. We're always doing something outside. Like right now, they're building wood racks for stacking the firewood. And we have these miniature cows. Uh, they dress out like a big cow dresses out hundreds of pounds. These only dress out about 60 to 80 pounds. So it's just enough to put in your refrigerator. And we got mini goats that, you know, you milk. And we're supposed to get some mini milk cows. But I don't know if they're going to come through because they're coming from England and they're having some kind of quarantine problem. They seem to be getting some kind of cough or whatever. So I think it's the way they're keeping them. I think they need to keep them damper. But anyway, that's my opinion. It's the federal government. They're not going to listen to me. But yeah, I've lived a good life. I've done a lot of things in my life. A lot of things that people would go, no, he never did. But I don't regret anything. I don't regret the education I got coming through the choir boys. That's what we used to call them. We were all choir boys. Yeah, life is good. I hope it's good for you. I hope that my prayer is that you have a good life or better than what I have. However, I want you to tune in on Friday night. We're going to have a discussion about a great movie. And because you guys are so backwards in your analysis, I'm going to take one movie. I'm going to have Josh run pieces of it so I can talk. Well, no, we're not going to run the whole damn movie. You're going to have to watch that for yourself. But I'm going to watch it this week and cut it up and draw the emphasis of the type of movies that I watched and how I learned about our country, about our world, about how to interact with other people. I'm trying to make a point. The three movies I gave out on Friday has not worked out, guys. First off, you write too many words. Secondly, if the first thing you say to me that it's in black and white, I know I've lost you didn't even start and you're already off the track. So we're going to actually take one whole hour on Friday. We're going to play clips of the movie. I'm going to explain why this is important and that is important. And it's on many levels. It's on government. It's also on personal interactions. It's, it's the movie is called Farmer's Daughter. The Farmer's Daughter. If you want to watch it beforehand, that will be my crew that watches everything beforehand, and they like me giving these commercials out because then they can disagree with me instantaneously. And then there's a group that, doesn't watch it, but yet they read the WikiLeaks page and they know everything about it. So these are the people that we're going to see in the chat. You take the good with the bad, right? And then we got What's Up Wednesday. That's always most topical. And I thought we were going to start on Monday, but we're not going to start that Monday till next week. So and Josh got to figure out the times that are good for him. But that's going to be an interesting one. And then we're gonna have a great video. I mean, a great conversation. I'm going to tell Gen Z and Gen A Alpha what they're doing and why they're doing it is messing them up, and they'll never have anything like we boomers had, because you're starting from the wrong base, and once you start from the wrong base, everything from that point on goes bad. So, as the almighty keeper of the wizard's door. Oh, I had a picture I sent to Josh. You see, I have a sign on my door into my workshop, and it says, "Nobody gets in to see the wizard," and a few other things. But Josh will post the picture, and immediately when I met Josh, I told him he was Wizard of Oz, definitely in my life at this time. He's the wizard, and that's how I introduce him to all the people I'm talking about. Well, they say, "Well, how'd you find a producer?" Everybody's complaining they can't find producers. I said, "Well, to be honest with you, he is the true Wizard of Oz." And they all give me that cockeyed look. I say, "No, nobody gets behind the curtain. Nobody gets to see the eyes. He's just a floating image on the internet. I don't even think he's real. I think the internet made him up." And it's always good for a lively conversation. All right, listen, man, ladies, those people in between. I don't care what color, race, genders, bisexual, trisexual, transsexual. Doesn't matter to me. I just want your likes, your comments, your subscribing, your sharing of all my videos. Feed my need for Adelaide. I want you to tell me how great I am. I need that at this time in my life. I'm 73 years old. I'm losing use of my legs. What else am I going to do but sit here on the internet and beg, yes, beg compliments? Sad but true. So listen, like I always say to you, all God's blessings.
Hold on.
Wait a
You're
minute.
going
Yeah,
too
wait a
fast.
minute. I got something to say. You cut in. I got to get this out because I'm going to forget. Jeez, some people have no sense of boundaries. Just because he's the producer, I'm the talent, makeup. So listen, just to get my spiel out, I appreciate every one of you. I really do. I hope you feel my love and my humor. All God's blessings to you. Know that you are an individual to me, no matter what your age, race, color, uh, whatever else there is in this crazy world. You matter to me. God bless. Now who can interrupt?
Yay. Okay, so first question, right out of the gate. How old were you when you left and started college?
I left at 19 and I started college when I was 32.
Nice. So this is an era of restaurant touring before college.
No.
No.
Now, when I left there, um, I bummed around for about 3 days. And finally, one of my friends showed up, and my mother came up and said, "Here's 2 reasons to leave your bedroom and stay outside for this whole day away from me." I said, "What are you talking about, two?" She said, "Well, one, it will be easier than number two. Number two, I'm going to set your bed on fire." So at that point, I knew she was real. So I went out, and his given name was Francis, but we called him Billy Hog because We went down the river one day. You don't fish the East River, not in the 70s. There's bodies everywhere. Your hook gets hooked on them, so you just don't do it. There's so many bodies. Anyway, and other stuff floating around the East River in the 70s. Oh my God. Yeah, but that's another story. So anyway, that's how it happened. He came over and said, "Oh, you know what I'm going to do on Thursday? I'm going to take the corrections officer test." And he had the pamphlet still in his pocket. And it was, at the time, it was a decent salary. Plus, you had all these benefits. I mean, health, dental, eyeglass. You know, it was a state of New Jersey. You know, pimple removing. I don't know what else. You know, foot fracturing. It was a good deal. The money wasn't bad. The hours were good. Always, you know, never considered myself the toughest guy, but I knew how to handle myself. And then I got old and I had to become the most ruthless. See, my legs don't work, but my upper body is still pretty good. So if I can lull them into a false sense of security and get within my grasp, they never get away. Never. I have grandchildren that will do a belly crawl across the room before they get within reach of me. But anyway, I digress again. So does that answer your question, or I need to flesh
Well,
it
it
out
sets
more?
a stage. Yeah, it sets a stage. What was the impetus of going to college so late?
You know, I had taken courses when I worked for 11 years in law enforcement. I had taken some courses. I had worked with some federal agencies, and you know, I had accumulated like 20 credits, maybe. No big deal. Just simply because they were required to keep my job. So I figured, you know, I think it was 48 credits to have a bachelor's at the time, but I know it's all changed now. This is the 70s, baby. Uh, so I only have a few credits to go, right? And I think who it was. Isn't it terrible? Oral Richmond's president. Anyway, so he arranged to get me one of those. What do they call it? It's a grant, you know, like a stipend. And I had, you know, had to work while I went to school, which was no problem. So I didn't pay for school. In other words, they paid. Just say in New Jersey paid for it, and I got my bachelor's and oh, I got my associate, and then I got after 6 months, I went back and got my bachelor's, and then there's another 20 years before I got my master's. No, 20, another 10 years before I got my master's. And I have everything for my PhD written up, but at this point in my life, I'm not going to do it. I don't care about it. But it mattered to me at one time, and now it doesn't.
I have a buddy. He was also a professor. Is also a professor. I don't know why I screwed that up. He hates this job. That's why I screwed this up. He hates being a professor. But he's in the same boat that
I
you're
did
in.
too.
He was working on his thesis or whatever he called it, his postdoctorate's defense or what have you. And he's in the space of
Dissertation.
dissertation. He's in the space of network security. And he's like, they already know the answer. And I go, you still have to do the job. And he's like, it doesn't matter. And I was like, that's why you're not finishing this because you
Yeah,
decided
well,
it doesn't matter.
yeah, but that's another, man, you just opened up another big hole. You know, you're talking, well, you're talking 1970 all the way up to 1984. You know what broad expanse that is in my life and how many things I did in my life? I'm that guy who tries 100 things. You may try 10 things, but I'm going to try 100. I'm going to fail more than you, but I do more. And that's the secret to success. Try everything, even if it sounds stupid. You know, how many stupid things turned into $1 million? Somebody tell me how this guy wound up with almost $1.5 billion. I mean, the guy who came over with the pet rock. Somebody
Marketing,
tell me.
marketing, baby, marketing.
So what I'm saying to you is, I lived a good life because I lived in the economic boom of, you know, I want to say like around 50, because all the guys were home from World War II that went all the way to 84. They said that it really stopped in 74, but it took another year, 10 years for the economy to slow down as far as I'm concerned, because made a ton of money in the 80s. So, but unfortunately, you guys, in this situation, you don't have it. You don't have the people to run it, and you sure as hell have too many hands in the pot. So that's what I wanted to talk about, get out there. Just not that it's broken and you're to the point of never having anything in your life. What I'm saying is that's the wrong directions. It's like California. Here in New York State, we do prevention of forest fires. We cut fire roads and we do periodic burns, and out in California, it's like urban renewal. They put all their money into fighting fires instead of putting their money into preventing fires. But then some guy, and once again, I'm new to the internet, guys, so don't kill me on this. But he sent me a note and he says, "Look, guy, they burn those houses down all the time because they rebuild them, and their property changes hands, and blah 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 blah." He says, "Why do you think all the lakes in California were sucked dry? There used to be a huge lake in the middle of California. Look it up. In the 1800s, there was a monster of a lake." And then the water authority came in the 30s and controlled all the water from not only in California, but all the way up into Arizona. Hoover Dam. Holy moly, that's a lot of water. But yet, there's no, the water comes down the watershed and goes right out to the ocean. You understand that, right? You guys don't fill lakes, you don't fill. New York State, for every 100 acres, you got to have a certain size pond. That way, in case you have a fire, the firemen pull up, drop their hoses, and they can fight the fire. Plus, we have all natural lakes and we have streams, a lot of water up here to manage, just because we get more rain than most people. Not as much as Seattle, but we get a lot of rain. So we have to manage water here, and we're good at it. When we clear cut, which we never do, we always replant right away. Okay? And we hire teenagers and convicts to maintain these wooded areas in the summertime. And that's why you don't ever hear of these out of control fires in New York or Pennsylvania or any of these East Coast states, because we know that a healthy forest is your best defense against all this scrub stuff that they have out there. Scrub pines, scrub this, scrub that. They don't clear burn. So that just tells me there's a mechanism here. Everybody, the canyons get filled with people. They burn them out. People exchange the property because they don't want to live there anymore. So they move out and they sell it to somebody else, comes in and builds, and 10 years later, it's burned down again. I guess that's one conspiracy. But the other one is, I think it's just bad management. Bad management. You're putting your money on the wrong end. They have all of this sophisticated stuff for fighting wildfires. For fighting it, once it's burning, then they put their money in. I happened to see a demonstration of this thing. It's being manufactured now, being in the United States by summer. What it looks like is a bunch of firecrackers. They're about 4 inches long by 2 inches round, and they're in a box. And you just grab the cord and run it out. Say, like on your property line, there's a fire coming towards your house. So you put it along your property line, and when the fire gets to them, they burn and they explode. But when they explode, they put all this fire retarding chemical out. And I thought to myself, what a simple idea, especially in California. You know, you got 60 guys on a mountain with the fire burning up their ass and they're running like hell. Wouldn't it be neat to have something like that? Yeah, I think that's the front end thinking I'm talking about. Instead of fighting the fire, mechanize the firefighting. Have these, drop these long ribbons of these things, and when boom, it stops the fire. I imagine the application is much better than dropping it from 1,000 feet, and 90% of it gets on the top of the trees, not down where it's actually burning. You know, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but let's remember that, you know, I'm old. I write things down because I'm old. I don't remember things because I'm old. And it's absolutely a good excuse to just not deal with people. Let's be honest. With all the things that I can ignore people so well. And now that I got my hearing aids, that's even better. Oh, hearing aids I'm not in. So what else are we doing, Josh? Except rambling.
All right. Well, if we're going to go in chronological order into the next iteration of our cigars and stories, it's going to be day in the life of the bar owner, a 19-year-old bar owner.
Yeah, I had my uncle sign for me because you couldn't get a liquor license at 19.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had another uncle sign me when I bought my first house because he had to be 21. And I think I was I was almost 21, probably within 6 months. But once again, just because there's a rule doesn't mean you can't get around it.
Yeah, that's good shit. Hate Ashbury, huh?
Ooh,
This so
scary place.
and this is the eye-opening experience of you walking away from your life of the 60s and going into the 70s.
But it is that thing. Well, first, Woodstock is my biggest memory. Woodstock of me interacting with people that I would have never interacted with in my whole life. Haight Ashbury was that experience on drugs and being just so in touch with everything around me. I mean, we were rehabbing a factory, a loft, warehouse for this guy. That's how we got to stay out there because we were doing electrical and plumbing, and walls and doors and windows and everything, you know, because he wanted to make apartments in there. So he gave us the top floor. So, gotta imagine I'm out of high school and pop. It only lasted 9 months, so I had to come back to the real world.
But this is 9 months of what I could only really classify as a test run on managing your own bar restaurant operation.
Well, you know what it showed me? It showed me that everything that they were selling us in the 60s, in the 70s, it was about, you know, peace, love, and happiness. Drugs are the way to go. Boom. That was my experiment into it. And after 9 months, I said, this is not going anywhere. I could be here for the rest of my life or I could go home.
So In I can't remember which theology it was, but the theology of the Lotus Eaters, right? And so, whatever hero, Greek, Roman, I can never remember which, falls into a place where they're being wined and dined, and you see this in Disney's Pinocchio, the old animated one, when he starts palling around with the donkeys and they're all having a good time. The Lotus Eaters. And the point of the Lotus Eater story is you have to wake up and you have to get back on the path.
Well, we're going to do another correlation that most of your older uh, viewers will appreciate. The younger viewers are like, what are you talking about? But the stories of Bacchus, the god of wine. And if you look up Bacchus, Bacchus was the party guy. I mean, there was nothing left to chance in Bacchus's world because he was the god of wine. Well, and how do you drink wine? You don't drink wine, while you're making nails. You drink wine, for pleasure. So look up Bacchus. It's worth going down the rabbit hole. And I'll get some of my pictures out that Fred made me about Bacchus, the watercolors.
Very nice. When's your next Dunkin' Donuts adventure coming up?
Well, you're I gotta be on the air with you at 10, so probably 6:30 in the morning.
Wow, that's what time your crew meets.
Yeah, we're old guys. We're up by 5. We got a half a pot of coffee in us. We've already walked the dog, and we're thinking, oh, let's get a cup of coffee and 2 sliders. Now, sliders, these are old fashions they call them now, and the reason why they used to have a little knobby on them is because they broke them and dumped them. And I do that all the time. And everybody gives me that side eye, like, what a heathen. So that's us.
Right on. Well, let's say hi to the Dunkin' Donuts gang.
Yeah. Hey, Murray, you still owe me $10. That's good enough.
That's awesome. All right, let's close the show out. Tell these people to like and subscribe.
Oh gosh, look at this. Look at signs right there. Watch this. Why don't you help me out? Like and subscribe, comment, and share my videos because it's important. It'll be one less day in hell. Thank you very much. God bless. God's blessings.